Would you like to know how to create interesting chord progressions just from a simple scale like this? Hi there, this is Sam with Second Tier Sound. Really nice to see you here. A lot of people ask me, how do you create interesting chord progressions? And it's obviously a huge topic with many answers and lots of study. But I wanted to show you one interesting, simple way that you could try right away. And all you have to know is how to play a simple major scale. I will show you all the details in this video, so let's get going. So in order to do this well, we first have to look over some music theory. Okay, so let's just make this simple and start with a C scale. C to C. We could also make a chord, a triad, out of each note in the scale, like this. And we could add a bass note. And also we could number all these chords and or notes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So each note and chord has the number. And then we know what chord we are looking at in each scale. So whatever scale we're working within, we can always refer to the same chords. The fifth is always the fifth chord. The second chord is always the second chord, and so on. If we were just to play these chords straight after each other, or down, it wouldn't be the most interesting song you've ever heard. So what we could do to make this more interesting is that we'll stick with the scale in the bass, but we will mess with the chords in my right hand. Yeah? So we have two tricks here. One is to do inversions. Inversions are basically that you change the order of the keys. So here we have a C. I'm starting with a C, but I could add this C up here. So I'm changing the chord. I still have all the chord notes in the chord, but I'm starting sort of on an E. That's the first inversion. Same chord, just different position. Sounds a little bit different. And then we can do the second inversion, which is just moving one step further. So we take this and move it up here. So now we start on the G. So all these are C chords. But it gives us voicing. And voicing is basically that voicing could be anything, but smart voicing is usually that you're trying to move as little as possible between chords. So instead of playing C, F, G, C, we could use inversions and then move less. For example, I'll start with C, then I play an F, and there we have the second inversion. And then I could also do G, second inversion, and then C again, first inversion. So then I move less, right? And try again. And that's called voice leading, and it's very important if you want to write good music. That's the first trick. The second trick is that we can separate bass notes and chords. So we are going to stick to the scale up and down in the bass, but we don't have to do that with the chords. We can have different chords on top and different bass notes. Now, let's try this. So we're going to go up. We'll start with C. That's going to be fine as it is. You could start here if you wanted, but let's do this. The next chord, well, let's try what it sounds like if you play D minor. Could work, but also if you want to try, you can notice that the D, what chord has D in it except D minor? Well, G has that. So we could play G or first inversion. Well, if you try that after each other, C, and then it works, right? And then next one, we try if E minor works. I don't think so. Maybe you like it. You could try it. There are no real rules here, but I'm going to try to put C on top of E because E is inside C, right? That sounds pretty cool. So let's start from the beginning. C, and then have G on top of D, then C on top of E. Yeah, and then we go to F. That works. F could stay as it is. And then G. Not my favorite. Let's try C, because C has the G in it. Here's C, and G has it in it. So let's try that. And then we can go to either A minor, or we could put F on top of A. Whatever you think sounds the best. And then the last one, I would say just playing a B minor flat 5 is not the best chord here. So let's try G, because G has B in it. If you see, has B there. So let's try that with a different inversion. And back to C. The whole thing would sound like this. And that works a lot better, right? You could obviously spice up the chords quite a bit if you wanted to. Yeah, maybe that wasn't the best one. But anyway, you get the idea. Or you could obviously do this going down as well. So let's try. If we just go down, kind of boring. So remember this one. Have you heard this before? Famous jazz song. Okay, so we're going to use that. Instead of going just all the way down with the bass, we're going to use that. So we go to the 5th before we go down to 1. So in jazz 2, 5, 1. If you might know about that. Anyway, so let's look at this. So we'll start with the C. And the next one, we know that when we're using B, we probably want to use G. And here we go to either A minor or F. Let's try A minor. If you play the F on top, say whatever you like is the best. And then we go to G with C on top. And then F, E with C, D minor, and then we go to G. And here it's nice to add a 7 or even a 7 sus. So if you want to go a little bit jazzier, you can try these chords. When you hear all these chords, you might think, well, that doesn't sound really the style I'm after. So I'm going to show you that even with quite a lot of extra colors or even easier colors, it still works quite well in orchestral music. Let's listen to a couple of examples here. So the first one I'm going to show off is the choir. So let's listen to just the choirs and hear In Solidus by HDO and Dominus by Fluffy Audio, which are not sponsoring this video, are at the front because I like them a lot. Let's listen to that. And I hope you can see that this is the scale going down, the bass line. And now we're going to use the bass line go up. Okay, so maybe you thought, well, that's not the kind of music I write, and Well, I'm going to show an example with the orchestra, and this is still quite slow because I wanted to make it easy to hear. But this is the exact same idea, but I'm just having a more traditional orchestra. Let's listen to that. And in that case, I had quite easy traditional harmonies, nothing spectacular, just more movement. Now going up. If you would like to dive more deeply into how I created this example for this video, you can always download the MIDI files from my Patreon page. Otherwise, if you want to support my channel, you can always hit the like button or perhaps even subscribe. I really hope you found this video useful. And even if you don't end up using this method, I hope you see the importance of using inversions in chord progressions to make it more interesting. Anyway, that's it for this time. This is Sam, signing out. Take care.